Good morning. Long time no see, folks. Sorry for the long delay. I'm going to try to do better at getting out things a bit more regularly. Um, I think I was hitting it too hard back in the day, and maybe should have aimed for once a week. But every 2 to 3 days was kind of burning me out. Anyway, so I'm still here. All right, so a customer comes in with a USB port that is broken. As you can see from it, there's that plastic is missing. Um, Looking at it, let's see, yeah. Looking at it from another point of view, the plastic that holds the traces there is gone. So I've looked it up, and this particular board is from an HP EliteBook Dragonfly G2. I've never actually seen one of those, but as it turns out, this board I can only get from China, and it's about $90, so it'll take forever. So I've got these bins full of recycled boards that are going to recycling at some point, and this is the closest match I can come with right there. It looks to be that it's identical, and as far as where everything goes. So what I'm going to do is take this one out first, and then I will take this one out, clean it, and then attempt to put this one in here. Now, if that doesn't work, I could always order one of these, and we're probably looking at like $10 or something on eBay for a couple. I think it was two of them for $11 or something. So what I'm going to do is just try to remove this one here, and as long as it doesn't come out all funky with solder all over it, it should be easy to use in this one here. I'll take that one out, clean it up, be good to go. All right, so let me get prepared and get started. Okay, in many cases, I like to add some solder, some low melt solder to this here. Um, but the fact is that I want to try to take this out without adding more solder to the equation, because I want these to be as clean as possible, so that when I move that to this other board, then we're not working with extra solder, old solder. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use my heat station. I'm going to put a little flux on this just to help the solder flow a bit, and then I will hit it with my heat station to try to just let it virtually fall out of the socket here. I think we will have pretty good luck with that. Alright, so I'm going to go with 50% airflow, 480 degrees Celsius on my hot air station right here. And we'll just heat it up. It does take a minute. It's at a weird angle, so what we're looking for is we're looking for all of those to liquefy. You see they're starting to do it now. Once they're all liquefied, this should just be able to fall right out. Getting there, but the board has to take a minute to heat everything up. And you know, we want to try to not melt the hell out of this, but sometimes it's not possible uh, to get through this without a little damage. Something's holding this in. I think it's that one right there. There we go. All right, so it came out, and we'll just let that cool off right there. I'm going to go back up here so we can kind of get a look, see how it turned out. Um, let's see. Alright, so looking at this, there's a little bit of solder on there. Not too much at all, really. Um, and of course, we did burn it a little bit, but if you look inside, um, it still looks just fine. No damage on the inside. Perfect. Okay, so we burnt the plastic below that just a bit, but that's all right. Um, when when I put this back together, I haven't decided if I'm going to use a heat station or my soldering iron, um, depending on. I mean, this is actually not really that bad. HDMI ports are way, way, way smaller. See if I can show you one. Here we go. So if you look at this versus HDMI ports, it's like night and day. Those you kind of have to use heat on, where these aren't too bad. All right, so we're gonna move that aside, let it cool, and then we got the damaged one here that we need to remove from the board. So typically, what I do is I usually put I usually try to put it on here, hold it down with something like that because I don't have a board holder, but that right there should be enough. And we'll hang it off the edge like so. And you got to be careful because you've got a lot of other components. Um, you want to be really careful not to knock any other components off this, specifically that. So it looks like we only have the one nearby. I think we can do okay. I don't think we'll need to worry too much about losing that. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to lower my airspeed down quite a bit, probably 30% maybe. So upside down. All right. So I'm going to put that like that. Rearrange this here. So this is going to use the same method. We're going to try to drop it out of there. Then once we're done, I'm going to clean this board up so that way we don't have to worry about excess solder lingering around, and then we can get it nice and cleaned up. Ideally, I like to work with it when it's clean and there's no solder left, so it's super easy to get those back in there. Once we do that, I'll take a soldering iron and I'll just tack in, let's say this, maybe one up here, and maybe one of these on the other side. Once we have that tacked in place, then we can manually solder each one of these in, no problem. Alright, let's get the heat back going here. I'm going to lower the airspeed, like I say, down to about 30%. I'm going to go out a little further with this. There we go. So we're looking to, same thing, just going to get this melted with a little less heat. But it does take a minute to heat this board up. This board's not terribly thick, so it shouldn't take a whole lot of time, but it will take a moment. Once you start to see changes in the solder, it gets shiny. That's when we know that we're in good shape. And then it should just drop right out. It's kind of a weird angle. Maybe I'll do it like that. That's probably a little better. Yeah, there we go. It's working. just have to be patient, and eventually this will just kind of fall out. I remember when I first started doing these small repairs, for instance, mostly they were laptop power jacks. I would break apart the jack itself and use a like a wire cutter to break it apart, and then I would have to pull each one of those out manually, kind of by hand, to where it would finally let go. But it got a lot better when I got this heat station. There we go. When I got this heat station, it made things a lot easier, and I could even work on a more micro level, which was nice. Come on. It's holding on pretty good. One of these is just being a little bit... There you go. One of these is being just a little bit difficult. Alright, I'm going to move this microscope out of the way just for a second, and so I can hit it straight from the top. And this is not wanting to come out. I almost have it. I see the bottom right was the culprit. It's kind of stuck in there. There we go. Alright, so now, there we go. Alright, hard work is done. And again, just to show you the damage that happened is when the plastic in the middle there got pulled out or broken. Right? So, that's trash. And then we will, first thing I want to do is flip this around, make sure we didn't lose that part. And we did. Look at that. See, that's what you got to be careful about. That part is right there. That's what we just lost. So we'll just put that aside, and I'll put it back on. So that's why it's a good idea to make sure to check everything before you do it. Kind of check your surroundings to make sure that you're not missing something. The PlayStation 5 has something similar to that, where it's a little tiny capacitor, much smaller than that, that is easy to lose, and then the thing just doesn't work after that. Alright, so again, what we're going to do, same sort of thing. While this is hot, I'll throw some flux, and then I'm going to treat it with some unleaded solder. Excuse me, leaded solder? I always get confused. Alright, we're going to mix this up because this has a lower melting point than the factory stuff. So we'll put some of this on here. Oh, let me put something here so it doesn't run off. Alright, so basically just running some solder, mixing it in so it will lower the overall melting point of the solder, and then we can wick it up a lot easier. Alright, looks good. Alright, so now we're going to attempt to wick it up from this side, and then we'll flip it over and we will put that one little bit part back on. Okay, solder wick. Pretty satisfying when you use solder wick, because it's like that ASMR thing or whatever, where it's kind of satisfying to watch. I don't use a fume extractor. I know a lot of people do. I gotta say it, I'm not really sure that I would need one, um, because I don't do this all day every day, and also the issue would be that they're expensive. So, and I'm in a pretty well ventilated area here. Let's get that right there. Nice. Good. Now once we hit it from the other side, that should clean the rest of it out there. Sometimes you get lucky and get all of it, like that. Let me grab this one more time to see if I can snag the rest of that little bit of solder. Yeah, the flux has already found its way out of there, which is why it's stuck to it. Did we get it? Yeah, it looks like it. Alright, so then we'll do these two, and I think we might even have just a little bit left on the couple of these on top. And then once we clean it, it looks like factory. Look at that. Easy. My dad used to say, always have the right tool, the right job, work smarter, not harder, that sort of thing. And before solder wick, um, I mean, I've had that thing where you can use the solder sucker. I've got one. It's just a pain in my butt, so I prefer using this. It works a lot better. All right. I can't tell if underneath. I think those two right there are actually solder, so we'll hit those real quick. Yep, got it. And got it. And so we'll grab this one. And got it. Okay, so as small as it is, this goes to show you. Yeah, so you can see it underneath. It goes to show you that with the right tools, this is not difficult to do. With a little practice, I'll say that. Alright, so I don't need to really do a whole lot with solder on the top here, although sometimes just the little tiniest bit right there can slow you down. So I'm going to hit that real quick, see if I can get that little bit out of there. Let's see, anything? Let me, I'm just going to put an X-Acto knife in there to see if I can just clear that out. Yeah, that'll be fine. Alright, so now I'm about to clean this, but I need to grab some alcohol. Be right back. Okay, so we'll do the top first. It's like kind of like night and day once you clean one of these. It makes it look so much more satisfying to work with. It makes it look like new again. There's a little bit of burnt flux up here. I'm not going to worry too much about that. Just clean all this off here. A little more alcohol on that. There we go. Alright, see what I mean? Looks like new again. Nice. Alright, so there's that. Now, and I'll be cleaning all this right here off too in a minute. Now I'm going to clean the other side. Q-tips are cheap, guy. So therefore, don't worry about trying to save them. You know, use as many as you need to perfect. Like the way that turned out. So, like I say, back in the day, I did things a little differently, where it was, I mean, very primitive to what I'm doing now. And so now I do it the right way, and it's, you know, I stopped doing jacks for a while because it was just too difficult with what I had to work with. Now, we just take the replacement part, just drop it in place, done. And I'm going a little more than I would cleaning this just for the sake of this video. Just want to make it look nice, really. And then we got to put that piece right there back in place. And I can't find it, actually. Where did it go? Oh no. Oh, look at this. It was stuck on the bottom of that. That's how small that is. Alright. So, while this is very, very small, it's big enough to manually solder it. So, put this down here. Where's that? There it is. Alright, so for this, real simple, real simple. Just throw a little flux on here. I'm glad we looked. I'm glad I mean, if I wouldn't have pointed that out before I started removing it, saying how we need to be careful, if I wouldn't have really found that, I am certain that I would not have been able to. I would not have noticed that it was gone. Okay, so let me orient this the right way. Piece of cake. So basically, what I want to do, I'm using the flux to hold it in place, kind of. I just want to get it right where it needs to be, and then I'll put something on top to hold it, and I'll hit this one side here, and then I'll just hit the other side with the soldering iron, and should be good to go. So, gotta be real careful here not to move it. Alright, so moved it. We'll just kind of do this right here like that. See how easy that is to move? Very careful. But you need to have like a little clamp. You can just clamp this to the board from the bottom. Let me get a little solder happening on this iron. Oh, the iron's turned off. No wonder. Alright. Give that a few seconds to heat back up. And then we'll try that again. Alright, I'm going to pause this for a second. Okay, now we have a working soldering iron. I'll try that again. So, just going to hit this very carefully from this side here. See, once we get one little bit soldered, then it won't move. But getting the first one is difficult on this small scale. We get it. Won't be a problem once we get this first one tacked in. There we go. Boom. So now, yeah, good. It's in place now. So I'll flip it around, put it back on camera, get the other two. I'm right-handed, so I have to do it this way. Let's see. angle here because of the solder that has to kind of hold it in play so the board doesn't fly around. We'll do this one first. There's that one and that one. Okay, so you see how I just hit those both twice at one time? Without flux, that would have bridged immediately, right? So with flux, it helps hold it in place where it's supposed to go. Um, if I wouldn't have put any flux on there, these two would have bridged. But that looks perfect, just fine. So clean it up a little bit, and then we can get back into this. Alright, so this is what we are working with. This right here. Alright. So if you look real close, you'll see that this still has either a pad of some sort or a little bit of, yeah, there's a little bit of solder on that. It's not the end of the world to have that on there, but I think it would be a good idea for practice just to try to remove that little bit right there, because we want it to look more like this one here. If you don't clear that out, it won't go through the board and will give you trouble. Okay, so I positioned it and put the solder weight, spool of solder that I use on there to hold it down. So what I'm going to do is use solder wick to just lightly hit that and hopefully clean it right up. So of course you want to put flux on there first. That helps the solder flow well. Look at that. I don't know if that was from the soldering iron. There we go. You see it disappear like that? That's what we want to see. So now we don't have that pad of solder on there. Okay? These ones look great. Alright, so now this should theoretically fall right in place. Even though this is from a different machine, if you look, it's pretty universal as far as the component fitting in these holes. I've done the comparison, and while it's possibly not exact, it's going to be very, very close. So you got to pops out there, so you got to make sure you got it kind of weighted down. So this is where we're going to try to push this through there. Yeah, see, we don't want this to look like this. We don't want it to be up like that. We want it to be flush. So let's see about getting, there we go. There's that. So it just snapped in place. It's about as good as it's going to get, I think, there. If you look, try to get a good angle here. There we go. If you look, we don't want it to be sticking up so much, you know. But if it's off by a millimeter or two, it's not going to be the end of the world. Let's see about this side here. See, this is what we're talking about, where it's not an exact match. Pardon my fingernails there. So I'm eyeballing this. It should work. Okay. So I am seeing one little issue, and I don't know if it's an issue per se, but I want to look at it from the top here. This front this front one almost looks like it doesn't want to go all the way through there, but it looks just fine. All right, so we're gonna keep working with this. You don't want to rush it and just solder it in like this. When it's See if I can try to get a good angle here. When it's not sitting in there correctly, you don't want to solder it and then call it a day. I mean, you really want to get this thing in there all the way if you can. So is that solder or is that just, can't really tell. Yeah, that looks like there's some solder on that. So yeah, you see how it's bulging at the bottom there? I think the best thing I could do would be to do this the right way, and that would be to clean up all four of these with some flux to see if I can get all of the remaining solder off of there, because there's a little on there. All right, I'm gonna do that off camera. You guys have seen that, so be right back. I know I said I was going to do this off camera, but this looked too good. See, we missed out on that right there, and this one up here looked just like it. So I'm glad we took a second look here. Let's try to do this on camera. Come on. Trying to get it to disappear out the other side here. There we go. See how that just sucked it right up? Alright, let's do the other side. I like it when things come together like that. Alright, and a little bit of fresh solder wick. Alright, now we'll try one more time on this side just to clean anything else out. Hold it there for a moment and then you'll just see it just like a drain. It's pretty cool. Alright, that'll work. There might be a little left there. Let me hit that one more time just to be safe. And maybe a little bit. Okay. Now this one here. Weight on this, holding it in place. Okay. Just a little bit more there. Flux. A little bit more flux on that one. Maybe I'm being a little OCD, but I like it to be complete. It would be a pain and a waste to mess with this without doing the best you can to get all of it. Alright, sorry I talk a lot. Alright, here we go. Perfect. I'll take it. Okay, good. Now let's see where we're at here. There's the board. And now we can try once again. See if we can get that in there all the way. It acts like it wants to, but I think this might be the issue where it's slightly, a different model or a different version of this jack here. It wants to, and we could probably get away with doing it right here. See how that comes out like that? That's coming through. I think what I may do is just try to push in one side of this, right, well, there's it at. I might try to push one side through and solder it in, and all these pins, they're good to go. There's plenty of room there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So it's not the way I like to do it, but I think that's the way to go. I'm going to tack that one pole post in right there. And if we hit, there could be some solder that I'm not seeing. So if we just hit this with solder to bring it in to where it needs to be, and then we can kind of work with the others a little bit. That'll work. Alright, so looking at the top, that one looks really good. So now we want to see, let's see, all of these are lined up. That's what we need to see first. Yeah, they all look good. Okay, so now we want to see about getting this back one in, because it looked a minute ago like it could kind of be pushed through. Is it? Well, what we'll do is I'm going to put some solder on here. See how without flux it just kind of doesn't work as well. Alright. Pushed on it. I'm going to hold it. That's hot. See how it looks on this side. Alright. As you can see, it's not perfect. It's not off by a whole lot, but it's enough to where I don't like it. We don't want it angled like that. Let me show you. I'm sorry if this is long-winded. I'm not trying to be. Yeah, something about the way this is not allowing it to fit as well as I'd like. Let me. I want to tack that in right there. I'm going to get a little solder and risk burning myself here. I'll try this at home. Alright. Let's see. That didn't hold. Okay, as it turned out, one of these pins in the back was bent, and it was hitting, I think it was this one, it was hitting the back side right here on the other side. So it was kind of just not going in the hole. Now all the pins look good. Yeah, so one of these wasn't actually in this hole here. But now they're all where they need to be. And you can always kind of do that just to make sure that you're good. Yeah, looks good. Alright. So now of course the last step to this And this video is way longer. I'm out of practice. Way longer than it needs to be. So, last but not least, we will just do these here. Flux first, of course. Let me get this a little more stabilized here. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Easy part. We will get these in place. Looks good. And I am guessing these are all ground, so this is okay that it bridged to there. This right here looks kind of like one of those 4090 NVIDIA connectors, but on a smaller scale. I'm going to do this. I got to arrange this just a bit differently because of being right-handed. Right, there we go. Let's see here. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so just like with side ones, we want to hit this so we see each of these fill the holes up with solder, so they look just like they do coming from the factory. See, with the flux, it almost seems like it wants to go in there. Get that out of the way. It almost seems like the solder wants to flow. And holding it there is a good idea because then you know that you've got it right in there where it's supposed to be. Like that. So if you hold it, it makes the solder flow through where you want it to be. The soldering iron's really dirty at the moment. Okay, I think this one needs a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to have to clean this because that looked really nasty now. Alright, not too bad. All the solder joints are looking okay. Those look good. Those look good. And I think just because of my OCD, I think I'm going to hit this just a little bit more with some more flux and just a little bit of solder just to make sure that I feel really good about those. We want those to look, uniform. Let me clean off my iron as well. There we go. Okay, so now this should look a lot better once I'm done here. Alright, much better. Alright, so they all look good, and because of the flux, no bridges. That's all good. That's about as good as you can get. Alright, folks, so I will test this in a couple of minutes here. Sorry for how long that was. I'll try to cut it down in editing a little bit better. But there you go. So we turned a recycling board into a fix. We didn't have to spend the $10 for that, and we didn't have to spend the $80 from China for this board. So we saved it. Okay, so we'll get it assembled and get back to you. Okay, I'm just going to check the USB on this one, make sure we're good to go. And we should. There we go. Alright. Alright, so we got it done. and fixed this. Saved us about $100 and several weeks wait from China by using one of these from a donor board. So, alright, so that's that. So guys, thanks again for being patient while I took some time off, but I will do my best to pull together some fun videos to watch. And thanks again. If you'd like to like and subscribe, that would be cool too. Have a great day. See you.